Hey, what's going on, fellow wealth builders? I just want to say thank you so much for the feedback that I got from the last video. I appreciate each and every one of you that subscribe to the channel and watch these videos. Today's video, we are going to talk about velocity of money and how that affects investing and how you should invest your money in order to produce the biggest profit and the most gains that you can. And we're actually going to do that by going on a little field trip. But before we get to that, if you want to follow along my journey as I build wealth for my family, then subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon so you don't miss a thing. And remember, none of this is intended to be financial advice. I am merely a guy sitting in front of a computer talking to a camera. So I said we're going to go on a field trip, and we are. If you watched the last video, you know that some things have changed pretty dramatically for my family just in the last couple of weeks. So if you haven't watched that video, definitely go check that video out. I will link it up here, and I'll also put it in the description below. But because of how things have changed for my family, I could do one of two things. I could basically hold on to everything that I have out of fear, or I could use what I have to invest and to continue to grow the finances and the money and the wealth that I have. I'm choosing to have the mentality of abundance rather than scarcity. So you may know from previous videos that I buy and sell vacant land, and I actually just purchased a piece of vacant land. So we're actually going to go take a look at that property. I need to take some drone photos of that property so I can upload them to the MLS, and we're going to talk about velocity of money and buying and selling things, property, and squeezing the most that you can out of your money. So I'm going to pack up my drone, we're going to get started, we're going to hit the road and go check out this property. It's an HOA community. It's massive. I'm talking there's probably 10,000 properties in this particular community, and it really is mostly empty. There's probably a few hundred houses in here, maybe even 1,000, but when you're talking about a community that's as massive as this, it almost looks empty. I started mailing properties again, and if you're interested in flipping vacant land, I'll put a link in the description. You can go check out the program that I went through. There's an introductory video, you can go check that out. But I started mailing letters to landowners about a month and a half ago, and the owner of this particular property reached out to me and said, okay, I'll be interested in selling my property. Price of this property is likely about $12,000 to $15,000. I bought it for $3,300. I have about $700 in closing costs with the escrow and title search and title insurance. All right, so this is my property, my street. All right, here is my property. It's a half-acre parcel. There are actually 0 houses on this street, none. So for instance, somebody who might want to buy this, they could build a house, and probably for a pretty long while they would have no neighbors. There are deer and turkey that roam all throughout this area, but if you want no neighbors, pretty inexpensive way to get it now. And then you could literally buy up neighboring properties over time and build your own little refuge out here. But that's not what this video is about. This video is about velocity of money and the importance of that. So I want to explain a little bit about velocity of money and what I'm planning to do with this property. I told you I paid $4,000 for this property. Right now, properties in this area are selling for $12,000 to $17,000, $18,000. I saw one pending for $19,000. So there's a wide range of prices that I could try to sell this property. At first thought, you're thinking, well, if they're selling for $18,000, then why not list it for $18,000? But I'm not going to sell it for $18,000, or I should say I'm not going to list it for $18,000. I'm probably going to list it somewhere in the $12,000 to $14,000, $15,000 range on that lower end. And you might be asking why. Got to check for fire ants. It's Florida, they're everywhere. You might be asking, why are you going to sell it for the low end when you could potentially sell it for $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 more? The faster you can put your money to work, the more money you are going to make in the long run. So if I sell this property for $12,000, let's say, take out the $4,000 I have invested in it, I just made $8,000. If I sell it for $15,000 and I have $4,000 in it, I just made $11,000. Could I hold out and sell it for $17,000, $18,000, $20,000 potentially. But how long is that going to take me to sell? It could take me 2 months, 3 months, 6 months to sell for that price. And let's say I took that profit and I invested in 3 more properties out here and turned them over and made $8,000 on each one. Now you're talking about $24,000 in profit because I bought low, sold at a reasonable price that moved the property quickly. So anytime you're looking at doing investments of any kind, you have to understand that the quicker you can make money, the better off you're going to be. So you should never overlook the velocity of money and how quickly you can turn your dollars into more dollars and then take that money and reinvest it into other things. If you want to see the video on how I turned $10,000 into $30,000 in about a month's time by flipping vacant land, I've got that video starting right over here. Big thank you to the Patreon supporters down below. Thank you so much. You are what make these videos possible.